Hey guys, how you doing? My name is Will from Dano Media, and today I just wanted to make a video just showing you some of my tests that I did yesterday. I was working with some lighting setups outside. I was a little bit bored. I wanted to create some shots using only one light and not use a lot of time or effort making it. It's basically just practice, and I wanted to show you the kinds of things I did and why I did them, and maybe you could teach me something new if I did something wrong. Comment down below what I did. So this is the first shot. I'm just gonna play it. And this is the final result. And then the other shot is one that I didn't like too much. It's this one right here, a little bit less sci-fi looking, a little bit more natural. And I'm not a huge fan of it, but I'm still gonna go over it. And but I'm gonna start with the other one because I like how that one looks more. So this is what the shot looks like straight out of camera with a Rec 709 LUT. So I'm shooting with a Sony FX3, an S-Log 3, and without the Rec 709 LUT, that's what it looks like. And then once you apply that LUT, you get this, which is actually a pretty good starting point. There's a few things that I want to change about this. First of all, I want a little bit more blue out of these lights, and I want this red to be a little more muted because I think it's too strong for my liking. Just as a quick explanation of how I did this, these lights aren't actually blue in real life. They were just normal daylight lights coming from the other house. But what I did is I set the white balance of the camera to 3500 Kelvin, and so that makes daylight look more blue. And then to complement that, I got the Yongnuo LED light and I just set it to red, and I put it behind me and pointed it down. It's a really good bang for buck light. It's bright, RGB. So I just put that behind there, and that's gonna create some color contrast. So the first thing that I wanna do is I'm kind of going after a darker looking image. So I'm just gonna reduce the exposure a little bit, and then I'm just gonna bump up the contrast a little bit more too. And then the other thing is I just wanted to reduce some of that red. So I'm just to experiment with it, I'm gonna lower the saturation altogether. Maybe I'll bump up the contrast a little more. This isn't blue enough for my taste. I wanted more of a futuristic look. So I'm gonna go to the color wheels, and I'm gonna add some blue to the shadows. So shadows means it's the shadowy areas of the image. So when you click on this and you go towards the blue, it'll add blue to the shadowy areas. The only thing now is I think I'm a little too dark. So I'm gonna copy and paste this Lumetri color, and I'll click on this reset button to reset all of the effect. I'm gonna rename it and call it Brighten Me Up. You can call it whatever you want. And I could just draw a circle around myself like so, and increase the feather quite a lot like this. And so now when I go into this Lumetri, and I'm just gonna, increase the exposure just a touch, maybe the shadows a little bit too. And so now I have a little bit of pop on me that you don't really notice because we feathered it up quite a bit. Before, after. That's the first shot right there. I'm kind of happy with it. I like this glow that's coming from the lights inside the house, and that's because I'm using a 1/8 mist filter from Nisi. All right, moving on to the next shot, which I'm not as proud of, is this one right here. Lighting wise, what I did is I actually placed the light right here off screen so that it casts a little bit of light here into the snow, because it was too dark and it felt a little bit flat. But also I felt like it was good motivated lighting because this is where another light pole would have been from the street, so that it looks like as if this light is coming from the street light. So for this one, I basically did the exact same thing, but there was one thing that I did slightly differently that I think worked out pretty well. I basically adjusted the exposure and the contrast like we did with the other one. And then I did the same thing with the color wheels. I added a little bit blue to the shadows, but then I went back to the creative and I added a creative LUT. So this LUT is actually from a Film Riot LUT pack. And so I looked for one that I liked and I added it on, and it was obviously too harsh. This is what it looked like. So I reduced its intensity to 20%, and it basically just gave me a little bit of extra taste to it. It has its own little flair. I kind of like it. Last but not least, after doing all that stuff, this is the image I came out with, but I noticed something was distracting me, and that was this green light right here. So I just did the same method of when I brightened myself up, You know, you could do the same thing where you duplicate the Lumetri color, draw a mask around that, and change the color. And the way I did that is by reducing the saturation all the way to 0, and then going to the color wheels and adding a little bit of orange to the highlights. And that's all I did. So now everything seems unified, and that's the shot right there. Not as proud of it as the other one. It looks kind of bland. That's what I did for these shots. If you notice anything that I did that was dumb, let me know in the comments below, and I want to learn something new. So I'll keep practicing with these lighting shots, and I'll keep showing you guys what I'm coming up with. I hope you enjoyed this video, and see ya.